take number 5. Lord, please be with me. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this talk. I know it's late in the afternoon already, spending the whole day in this BCPP Way of Life Formation Retreat, and being the last speaker, your last speaker. I would like also to thank you for coming over, hanging on, and patiently listening and learning. I also take it as not only that me parting knowledge to all of you, but me gaining knowledge as well, and a service to BCPP. I It was a privilege of accepting this talk, because not only that parting knowledge to you, I also gained knowledge through my research work, through this talk, and it deeper deeper my conversions, deeper my faith, deeper my knowledge, being a BCPP citizens. It is just like the pebbles dropped in a pan are simply as act of courage, love, and faith can create ripples that extend far beyond our own sphere. I would like to tell you a story which is inspiring, touching, and rippling as a starting point of our topic, love for country. The title of this story is Circle of Love by Jenny Williams. There was a little girl at the age of 5. Her name is Julie. One day, her kindergarten teacher told the class to draw a picture of something they loved, and then she drew stick images of his family, then encircled it with red crayon. With her desire to level her drawing, she approached her teacher and asked, "Teacher, how do you spell?" Before she could have finished her question, she was scolded by her teacher not to disturb the class. Being an obedient student, she just silently folded her drawing and placed it in her pocket to bring it home. Excitedly arriving home, she hurriedly looked for her mother. And when she saw her mother in the kitchen, she approached her mother to show her drawing and asked the same question. "Mom, how do you spell?" Before she could again finish her question, her mom was so busy. The reply, her reply, the mom replied to her, "Don't you see I'm busy? Why don't you go and play outside?" Again, Julie folded the drawings and stuck it into her pocket. Later in the evening, she unfolded and smoothed the paper, and ready with her pencil, and wanted to show it to her father. When she saw her dad, and she right away asked, "Dad, how do you spell?" Again, before she could have finished that question, since her dad was so busy, her dad replied to her, "Julie, I'm reading right now. I don't want to be disturbed. Go to your room." So, in the morning during laundry, her mother drew through her folded drawing without opening it together, with pieces of other materials in her pocket. You know what, brothers and sisters? When Julie got married, Her 5 years old daughter, Annie, presented a stick drawing of their family. Again, encircle this with red crayon, ready with her pencil to level her drawing. She asked her mom, who is Julie, how do you spell love? You know, Julie spelled love with Time. Time. Because if you don't have time for your family, if you don't have time for the church, for your community, and for yourself especially, then there is no love. And love for country is basically founded in the greatest and doable commandment of love. There is no commandment greater than this, too. In Mark chapter 12, verse 30 to 31, love of God and love of neighbor, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these two greatest commandments. Again, in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4, again it says here, hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your hearts, with all your souls, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And after this, it further strengthened, comes another one in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 16. It says here that you shall not defraud your neighbor, you shall not steal, and you shall not keep yourself the wages of a laborer until morning. Neighbor here means fellow citizens. The scriptures here talks about certain virtues and values. The scripture also talks about the way we ought to relate to one another. It talks about certain virtues of values such as honesty and justice. Therefore, love for country begins in our heart with our virtues and values that radiates from inside out. As BCBP members, let us look and evaluate our individual selves dealing with our character as stewards, how we learn and practice good stewardship at home, at work, and in our community, the BCBP, and in our society at large. Good citizenship is a matter of the heart, of governing principles and values. Another way to put it is that love of country begins in our heart, with our character, with our values. This is the reason why we need to begin our discussion in this topic with the character of a BCBP citizen, as I have been mentioning a while ago. In this talk, we shall first discuss the fundamental character qualities of the steward manager. Then the areas where these qualities are exercised radiating out from family to society at large, suggesting practices that are within the control of each individual. And as BCBP citizen, we shall first be discussing these two talks. A BCBP member as a steward, there are two things. As BCBP member as a steward, and two, the schools of stewardship. Now, we tackle the first one as BCBP member as a steward. We shall discuss first what is steward, what are the qualities of the steward, and third, lastly, is the circle of influence and circle of concern. Let's begin. Let's define first what is steward. A steward is someone who is in control. He can only be referred to as director, manager, custodian, or caretaker. Etymologically, the word steward comes from the Old English sty and ward. That refers to a person employed in a large household or estate to manage domestic concern like the supervision of servants, collection of rentals, and keeping of accounts. In Isaiah chapter 22, verse 15 to 24, it relates the story of God removing the steward Shebna because of injustice and nepotism and giving the job to Eliakim. Steward Shebna, who was once the master of the palace of the king of Judah, and because of injustice and nepotism, God decided in removing Shebna and giving the job to Eliakim. In this story, we learn that the key to the treasury and storehouse of the kingdom of God, when Jesus said, I will entrust to you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Further strengthened in Matthew chapter 16, verse 19, St. Peter is made the steward of the kingdom of God when Jesus said, I will again entrust to you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Remember, San Pedro, siyang tigbantay sa ato when we go up. So, the key symbolizes stewardship. The key symbolizes stewardship. So, in short, a steward is a person to whom the possession of another have been entrusted. Remember, I had the word entrusted. He is authorized to manage this possession. The welfare of the owner and others who have a stake in the venture is entrusted to the steward. His position is always a position of trust. Trust calling for trustworthiness. In short, person to whom the possession of another has been entrusted. You see? It's trust. Character qualities of a good steward. This is number 2. She must have the mind of the owner. And that means in our case, the mind of God. As BCBP members, we must have the mind of God who owns our lives. The steward needs to know God's vision for this earth, for our country, our business, the BCBP, our families, and ourselves. It is just like you have been entrusted with a thing by your parents or even by a friend. Because of the trust, that thing was entrusted to you. And because of that trust that is reposed in you, you should have the mind of the owner of taking good care of that thing, as if it is yours. Dili ingon nga, gibilin naman na. Maunsa na diha, bahala na. No. Because of that trust, and the one who entrusted that thing believes that you can take good care of the thing because he believes that you can be trusted, and because of that, you should have the mind of the owner, as if you own it. As if you own it, you take good care of it. Number 2, she needs to be trustworthy, and trustworthiness that flows from integrity and competence. You know what? Trustworthy or trustworthiness that flows from integrity and competence. I remember one thing, that honesty and transparency are not enough to engender trustworthiness. Am I right? Honesty and transparency are not enough to engender trustworthiness. Competence in whatever we do is crucial, that needs to be paired with integrity. Because you know what? You are honest, you are transparent, okay? But your integrity is doubtful, is questionable, then trustworthiness, the trust is not well defined. So, in short, integrity and competence, because you are being entrusted to that, you should be competent, you should have that competence of taking good care as being the owner of the thing. Okay, now lastly, as a steward, since you are being entrusted, you should balance courage and concern. A steward must be dedicated to the enhancement of the master's business in line with the master's intentions. If the steward emphasizes courage, example, getting it done and done his way, and if he disregarded concerns for others, he may be unjust to those he works with. If he is all concern and lack courage, he may not get the master's business done. In short, because you are being entrusted, you are the supervisor. You do all things at the expense of your laborers, at the expense of your peers, just because you want to have this thing done right away. Because of it is being entrusted to you, you find things, you work on it in order to achieve that without any concern who will be affected, who has been affected, and who will be affected. And that is not stewardship. On the other hand, if all concern but lack of courage, you have concern, but you don't have that courage, you cannot get things done. What's still just like the parable of the talents, diba? When one of the servant was given one coin, what he did? He kept it. He even buried it under the soil because he was afraid her master might look for it, might account for it. He didn't invest. He didn't invest it and have it multiplied. So that is not steward. Okay? So an overly courageous steward may get everything done his way, disregarding the concern for others, being unjust to those he works well with. On the other hand, if he is all concerned and lack courage, he may not get the master's business done. When it comes to putting good stewardship and love of country into practice, we need to do so wisely. There are basically two domains. One is made up of those things we can influence, change, or impact for the better, and we call this a circle of influence. The other is made up of all those things we may be concerned about, but we have no influence over them. We cannot change them for the better, or we don't have any control. And we call this a circle of concern. As I showed you in the slide, circle of influence as defined includes all those things we can influence, change, or have control or impact for the better. It starts from within. It starts from within. Okay? And the most important area is our character and our behavior. That is the mirror. And we have control of our character. We have control of our behavior. We have influence of our character. We have influence of our behavior. Consistent, consistent improvement of our character for the better makes us grow and become emotionally and spiritually mature for a greater impact, making a difference in the family, professional, as well as in our business, as being a BCBP citizen or public life. While circle of concern includes all those things can be really, which we can really do nothing, no? We don't have any control. Negligence of our own behavior, circle of influence, and focus. What I mean is that we can really do nothing. So, as you can see in the chart, the circle of concern is the bigger circle, and the smaller circle inside that big circle is the circle of influence. We need to learn to work within our domain or circle of influence, and not waste our emotions and psychological energy on the domain of circle of influence. I mean, we should not waste our emotion and psychological energy on the domain of circle of concern, because we don't have any control. What we have control is the circle of influence. Beyond that circle of influence, like typhoon, earthquake, like somebody stole something from somebody, do you have any control over that? Do you have control over this earthquake? Do you have control of this typhoon? Or what is happening in Iran? What is happening right now? Do we have control over that? No. So let us focus with our circle of influence. Because in that circle of influence, it is us. It is us. It is important that we consistently focus and work on, and to do those things over which we actually have influence and control. If we do that, it will grow. We will grow. We will have greater impact and difference not only in family, in our business, in the BCBP, but rather in public life as well. The most important area is our character and behavior. On the contrary, if we neglect the area of our influence and focus on our concern, which we don't have any even control of it, especially on those things which we really cannot do anything, then our circle of influence will shrink. And we can do less and less of a difference. As shown in the slide, if you focus more on the circle of influence, you grow. You grow. But if you focus yourself on the circle of concern, your circle influence shrink, because you put more concern on something that you don't have any control, on something that you don't have any influence of. And you yourself, you did not even mind take notice of yourself, take good care of yourself, take active action of yourself. Okay? So that is the circle of concern and the circle of influence. Now let's go to stewardship, schools of learning. We have 4: the family, the workplace, the BCBP, and our society at large. These are the 4 areas or school of stewardships that give us the opportunity to act and serve as good steward. Let's First, begin with family. The family, being the basic unit of society, is the most fundamental school of stewardship. The family teaches and trains husband and wife, the parents, and the children concerns for the others. As parents and children, we must be united to learn to put ourselves in a constant position of service for the welfare of each other. Because if you don't take good care of your family, if you don't manage it well, if you don't give love to your family, what will happen? Family is the most important thing if you want to become a good steward. You clean your own backyard first. You clean your own area first. Where? Our family. Your family. That is your first area of concern. This calls for trustworthiness with a balance of courage and genuine concerns for one another. The family, a school of citizenship, a word to parents, except for those single, but I presume that you are all married. Well, for those single, you will be getting married soon. If you want to raise up responsible citizens for our country, begin with your children. You begin it with your children. And here are some of the suggestions. You should know how to delegate stewardship. We raise our children to be responsible citizens by giving them stewardship opportunities according to their age and set up a system of accountability. Perhaps assign them in household chores, cleaning your own room, or something, asking for an accounting of their allowance when you give allowance to them baon. When they come home, what did you spend? You make accounting so that they will know that you are really concerned about how they spend their money. So that is one thing. Second, of course, these are some of the things that we learn. Demand the respect for household helpers as our children. To respect the helpers, such as always make sure that your children are polite and to those who work in your house. Make sure that they always say please and thank you. Use every opportunity to teach respect, honor, integrity till it becomes habitual behavior. And don't allow your children to grow up becoming señoritos or señoritas. You'll be having problem later on. Spoiling your own children is not love, I'll tell you. Third, if your children, when they graduated and are earning, but still living with you, with a family, they are urged to contribute financially to teach them financial responsibility. Have them contribute financially to the family, even if you don't need their money. Let them know that food and drink cost money, and electricity needs to be paid, phone bills, everything. Internet, the Wi-Fi that they have been engrossed with. Let them know so that they would be more responsible. Okay? So fourth, we use every opportunity to teach respect, honor, and integrity until good characteristic traits becomes a habit. Fifth, they are also trained to sacrifice when necessary, especially in the moments of inadequacy, not providing them with what is beyond our means. In short, teach them the value of money. Tell them not all their wishes can be granted. They have to sacrifice, they have to learn to go through the rigor of life on earning money, especially appreciating them, appreciating the value of money. I'm not, I myself, I could not go to college if I don't work. And I work, my first job was janitor. I'll tell you. Uh, my first job was janitor with a 300 pesos salary a month. How can I go to college? So, medyo gamay-gamay yung trabaho. But I was able to finish. Okay? Lastly, we should avoid the military parents. Follow what I say. Do not follow what I do. It goes without saying that you cannot teach your children if you do not model that behavior of your children. Because the most effective stewardship training is modeling. Remember this, it's modeling. They look at you. Children look at us. What we are right now, they will follow. No matter what. Especially mothers have the important role in shaping up our children because they are moral compass of the home. Mothers are the moral compass of our home. Now we go to workplace. We achieve what do achieve always together with others. Our achievement depends on our work relationship, and here are two certain character qualities are foundational, and they are: we develop a win-win attitude. Second, businessman, professional as a steward. So in our respective workplaces, we ought to develop a win-win attitude in dealing with our employers, employees, peers, client, customers, suppliers, and all stakeholders to gain and win. Win-win means that agreement or solution are mutually beneficial and mutually satisfying. We see life as a cooperative and not a competitive area. Remember this. Life as a cooperative and not a competitive arena. It is a frame of mind and heart that constantly seeks mutual benefits in all human interactions. The spirit of win-win cannot survive in an environment of competitions and contests. For sure. Very simple. Very understanding. Okay? In a nutshell, a win-win attitude relating to owners, peers, employees, suppliers, customers. The good steward work in such a way that all stakeholders gain or win. Both win, both gain. And here are some of the character qualities wherein we must consider. She works toward increasing the profitability of the business. 2. She is committed, cooperates, and communicates openly with all. She takes a concern for safety and just compensations for employees. She makes sure that the company produces first-rate or world-class products and services. Okay? And here are some of the character qualities relating to businessman and professional as stewards. First, the integrity. His values, words, and actions are lined up. They're all the same. Competence. He is the cutting edge of her profession. Efficiency, courage, and concern. BCBP is a school of learning for good stewardship and eventually becoming good citizens to measure love for country. It leads us to a deeper conversions to the Lord and help us to grow as men and women of God because we have the mind of God. Remember, as a steward, you have to have a mind of an honor and a mind of God. Remember the word deeper conversions to the Lord. That word deeper conversions. Take note of that. The Christian Life Program is a basic formation that strengthens our relationship with God. Improved relationship at home is realized through the Marriage Retreat, BCMR. During the business retreat, serving God as good steward is spelled out. The ways and hows you deal and transact business or perform your job descriptions. Through our action group meetings, we are also trained to open our hearts to others beyond our immediate family, giving us concrete ways to care and love for our brothers and sisters. Our BCBP involvement teaches us to be concerned for others and to serve them actively even at the cost of our own convenience and our time and money. So the basic concept of love for country is building strong family results to responsible citizenship. Faithful spouses raise responsible children of God that eventually build a strong republic. Family is the smallest building block. Do you agree? Family is the smallest building block of society. If we are unfaithful to our spouse or neglect our spouse or children, or if we do not raise our children as responsible people, then we are neglecting our country. And we are not showing love of country. Because our children becomes the sagbot sa Katalingban. Remember? They become the sagbot of Katalingban. So, where do they begin? They model in us as parents. We must not neglect them. 2. Putting our time, talent, resources at the service of the Lord. For others, in the BCBP is an expression of our love for our country. This is so because we grow in our relationship with the Lord and become responsible disciples who understand the greatness, and greatness means putting our time, talents, and resources at the service of the Lord for others, especially to our brothers and sisters in the community and outside of our community, such as those needy and sickly people. Remember that we went to Casa Sabugma, to Bonita, and poor people who have nothing, the feeding of the street dwellers. Those are the things. If we let our relationship with the Lord drift, and if we want to take it easy, try to get out of service, ignore the needs of our brothers and sisters, then we also neglect our country and are not showing love of country. Third, in the marketplace, our love for country is expressed through our integrity, courage, and concern for all working for justice, honesty, and fairness. Otherwise, if to the extent that we are out for ourselves, show crab mentality or kanya-kanya mentality, to that extent we are neglecting our country and lacking love of country. See? So, we must not do the crab mentality thing or kanya-kanya mentality, because in a marketplace we have to express our love for them, especially through our integrity, courage, and concern for all working for justice, honesty, and fairness. If someone is dishonest, then try to be honest yourself. If someone cannot give justice, give equal opportunity, and justice should be reign in you. Fairness, be fair with them. Not only to them, but be fair also with you. Both ends work well, right? So, serving the country, expressing love of country is sometimes a misconception. We can make a difference by having these special contributions to our country. What are these? electing public officials with a track record of integrity and competence. Next year is our election. Election is coming. That's why there is Duterte, Lacson, and Soto, and all of this bickering, like Pacquiao, who's being left behind without anything. His ambition has been demolished. Shambled. Two, promoting our BCBP advocacy for honesty. The Be Honest campaign. Oh, the third one is the following traffic rules. I remember this. There's a foreigner who says that Philippines is a lovely place. It's a nice place. People are so good, wonderful. You know what? The bad thing is that this foreigner says that there's only one thing in Filipinos. They do not follow traffic rules. And I'm one of those. Tell you, I'm one of those. You know? It's the one thing that strikes, because the attitude, our attitude is like example in the parking place. We try to cut for parking spaces. No? Unless this attitude behind the disregard for traffic rules changes, there cannot be any real development of our country. Of course, the attitude behind the disregard of traffic rules extends to other areas of public life as well. So that, following traffic rules. Okay? Number 4. Oh, I'm also guilty of this. You know why? Not littering our garbage in the street through proper disposal. It is very common to see the windows of a car ahead of you open and garbage being thrown out of the road. And no, I'm one of those. Mind you, I'm one of those. So I'm very thankful when I read this and did my research on love for country. I realized that not I'm not a I'm not a good steward. But let's improve ourselves and be a good steward. Okay, so you see, there are so many things, no. You know what? There's a saying that we heard in the news that plastic pollution is emerging as a top threat to ocean ecosystem. By 2025, there could be 1 ton of plastic for every 3 tons of fish in the oceans. Remember that? Plastic debris affects nearly 700 species worldwide through entanglement and indigestion, alter natural biological and chemical processes, provides a means for the introduction of toxins into the foodway. That's what we are afraid of, and that's what we don't want that to happen. Lastly, no, number 5 is paying our taxes correctly, accurately, and in time. Remember when I was still in law school, my my teacher in taxation always tells me, and I passed taxation in the bar by just saying taxes is the lifeblood of our country. And that is true. Every question, lifeblood of our country. Lifeblood of our country. The government provides services and needed infrastructures, and for that it needs money. So when you buy, always ask for a receipt. Tax is already included in the price of the articles. Otherwise, if you don't, you have deprived the country of the needed income. Okay? 6, promoting our local goods over the imported ones. This is very common. The Filipinos gravitate towards imported goods because of our colonial mentality and wrong notions that if it is imported, it must be the best. I remember one in the OR. There was one patient that he overheard that the doctor telling the anesthesiologist that to just give her local anesthesia. You know what? This patient shouted and said, "Doctor, doctor, don't give me local anesthesia, give me stateside." Stateside. I have money to pay. Give me the stateside, the branded one. On the other, Filipino manufacturers cut corners, you know. And the other, lastly, is the Filipino manufacturers cut corners and put our product of inferior quality in spite of the fact that they have the training and the technologies to produce world-class products. Okay. To summarize, going back over what we have discussed above, we realize that love of country depends on the followings: being God's stewards over all that has been entrusted to us, such as developing our own character so that we can bring into all we do and into all our relationship with these qualities the integrity and competence, courage and concern. Two, helping others to develop these same qualities, especially raising our children as good stewards over what has been given to them. And then we have this using the schools of stewardship, such as learning to love and care for our spouse and children and wider families, such as our extended families, learning to love and care for others through the BCBP, learning to work for win-win in all our work relationship. 3. Making it our special concerns to live out good stewardship in public life, always respecting the rights of others, caring for the environment, helping to develop local business and industry, paying just taxes, electing people who brings to the office with integrity and competence. Lastly, if time allows, make yourself available for civic service projects. So, to conclude, love for country basically emanates from the greatest double commandment of love of God and love of neighbor. Time, talents, and treasures are the instruments and avenues of this great love. Love in our opening short story spells T-I-M-E. Love can also be spelled T-R-E-A-S-U-R-E or T-A-L-E-N-T, treasure or talent. This expression of love radiates from inside out, from the family to our community, the BCBP, to our respective workplaces, and then to the society at large. Love for countries boils down from being a good steward in all areas of our life and living by putting God in our minds. The good steward has the mind of God. The BCBP way of life is a transformative way of life, encompassing the practice of moral integrity, Christian values, not only in the business milieu, but also in each member's family life, as well as in the life of the BCBP community. The two major character qualities we strive to grow in are trustworthiness and competence. Remember, the two major qualities are the trustworthiness and competence. The reason for this is not only that God wants us to use our talents and to conduct ourselves worthily in the workplace. The reason is based on our vision, BCBP vision. We are to evangelize in the marketplace and win the marketplace for Christ. Our greatest witnessing power comes from being example of good stewards who administered what is entrusted to them honestly and competently, that is, with integrity. Take note that we have three instruments: time, treasure, and talent, of expressing love among the three identities, which is God, neighbor, and ourselves, that are fundamental to love for country. Before I end my talk, I would like to leave you these interesting quotes that I would like To you, I would like to share with you a quote from Mahatma Gandhi, exemplary influence. Be the change we want to see in the world, for serving is the best kind of leading. May we never separate the lives we live from the words we speak. Setting an example may not be the only way of influencing others, but oftentimes it is the most effective means. As we become more aware about our purpose, we begin to enlighten others by our examples. Deciding to create a ripple can mean making it our regular business to draw out the best in others by being exemplars ourselves. May we waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Let us always try to become one. In closing, I would like you to always remember that our God loved us so dearly. God gives us His gift through His love for us. As we perceive God's love, God does not only give gifts, He dwells in the gift that He gives, extension of His love and presence. The very gift that we receive, everything that we receive, God's love is in that gift. That remember it always. That love, God's love is always in that gift. Okay? His presence is always in that gift. Every created being therefore bears the fingerprints. No? It bears the fingerprints of God and is made holy. Thus the great sanctity of creation, how we are to take care of the goods of the earth, how we are to be responsible steward of God's gift, and the resources He has provided us because they too are made holy by God. So, thank you and have a pleasant good afternoon, maybe good evening, and may God bless you all and have a blessed weekend. Bye-bye for now. I'm Ed Gobonsing, CLP1, BCMR1, Chi Unit, and Gobonsing Action Group. Bye! See you! See you! Bye-bye! Love you! Bye!